The motivation for the campaign really came about because I realized that while I had been relatively environmentally conscious in my personal life, I hadn't translated that consciousness to my professional life at all. And the motivation for the campaign came about when I had been chairing a large energy arbitration in Houston. And I looked, as I was leaving the hearing room after 2 weeks, I looked at this wall of printed binders that had sat behind me for the whole of the 2-week hearing, and realized that we had not actually opened a single one of those binders during the 2-week hearing because we had asked the parties to provide documents electronically as well. And it was this sort of realization of that level of waste that I had seen really throughout my career made me stop and think, we really need to actually address this within the arbitration community. We had also started in 2018, 2019, very much talking about how arbitration practitioners could address climate change disputes in terms of arbitrating those disputes, but we hadn't ever really talked about our impact on the environment, the impact of our practices. And that is the real focus of initially the Green Pledge, and as it eventually transformed itself into this broader campaign to reduce the environmental impact of arbitrations across the globe. Quite simply because just one international arbitration proceeding has a significant impact on the environment. When I launched the Green Pledge, I, with the great help of a team of other lawyers, did a case study into the impact of an arbitration. And it was a long-running major arbitration, but we were staggered to find how much of an impact that arbitration had on the environment. And I will tell you that that single arbitration generated more 78 times an individual's annual carbon footprint. And we translated that figure. Our headline figure is always that it takes 20,000 trees to offset those emissions. So it was something that we really needed to act on. The campaign's overarching message is really fly less and print less. And it's the flying less that really has the impact. I talked about the case study we did. That case study found that 93% of those carbon equivalent emissions came down to air travel, and particularly business travel. The smaller aspect was really the printed bundles, but we always see that as more of sort of a signaling to people that we are talking about these issues. The biggest thing you can do as an environmental practitioner is fly less, or just fly more creatively. So when I launched the campaign, even before the pandemic, we were suggesting that you flew one witness to the lawyers rather than flying 5 lawyers to the witness. We were advocating taking witness evidence of more minor witnesses over Zoom. And obviously the pandemic has really helped us in that. It has driven significant behavioral change in the industry. And I really hope that coming out of the pandemic, we don't slip back into what I really see as our former very, very wasteful ways. The response to the campaign has been phenomenal. We were lucky enough to win the Global Arbitration Review Award in 2020 for the best development, and that really gave us a great amount of publicity. We have now regional committees for the campaign across the globe who are doing great work in raising awareness of the need to reduce the environmental impact of arbitrations. And so, yes, I have seen practitioners really change the way they are running their practices. As I say, the pandemic has helped that, but I'm really seeing a great sea change in the way people are running their practices, particularly marking up documents on screen. I really hope hard copy bundles, that wall of printed binder I talked about, I hope they're a thing very much of the past. The arbitration community can really act on climate change in two ways. First, at the practice level, and that's a level that I have really focused on. That is the strong focus of the Campaign for Greener Arbitration, talking about practice, practical things that we can do as individuals to minimize our impact on the environment. The arbitration community also has arguably an even more important part to play at the policy level. And that's something I haven't been as focused in, but there are some wonderful initiatives out there, such as the Net Zero Lawyers Alliance, where people can really get involved in influencing climate change, as I say, at the policy level. Very much so. I am an energy arbitrator, and I have been absolutely astonished with how the clients that I see have really embraced the principles of the campaign. As I say, it is about taking responsibility for your professional impact on the environment. I think we were all guilty, perhaps a little bit, of thinking it was somebody else's problem, and the campaign really emphasizes to all of us that whatever our role in society, whatever our professional obligations are, whatever our industry in which we operate is, we all have an obligation to reduce our individual climate footprint, and that includes our professional climate footprint. I would like us to be better at using the flexibility that we have within an arbitration proceeding. I think we can be more creative about the way we take witnesses, for example, the way we run the whole proceeding. And I would essentially like us to view every dispute through the lens of the climate crisis. We are in a climate emergency, and it is no longer acceptable for us to do nothing and simply ignore it. And as I say, think that it is somebody else's problem to solve. There is a role for all of us to play in tackling the climate emergency.